Collective social responsibility, sometimes also known as collective guilt, refers to the responsibility of a collective entity. For example, a corporation or a nation-state or a club for the harm in the world. Collective responsibility is associated with single, unified moral agent. Shared responsibility refers to the responsibility of group members for such harm in cases where they acted together to bring the harm. For example, some of the ways people and corporations engage in social responsibility and help are engaging in charity work, volunteering their time or money, reducing carbon footprint, purchasing fair trade products, improving labor policies, and also investing in environmentally conscious businesses. Collective social responsibility is also divided into two groups, individual and corporate social responsibility. Individual social responsibility is a moral belief where we as individuals have a responsibility towards the society. Being so-called socially responsible is about all individuals behaving ethically and sensitively towards social, economic and environmental issues. In essence, individual social responsibility refers to our awareness of how our actions affect the community as a whole. People who are socially responsible can, for example, volunteer their time or give their money or stand up for issues that affect the rights of others. Corporate social responsibility, or also known as corporate citizenship, is a term used to describe the efforts, stances and policies that companies undertake and enforce in an attempt to positively impact the world. It has become more important today as both employees and customers are basically demanding that companies align with their values and give back to the society. Examples of corporate social responsibility initiatives include improving the environment. Environmental responsibility is one of the most common forms of corporate social responsibility, which basically refers to the idea that organizations should behave environmentally friendly. For example, using zero emissions. Secondly, there are social justice efforts. The 5 main principles of social justice include access to resources, equality, participation, diversity, and human rights. Thirdly, there are employees who volunteer, for example, pro bono lawyers helping environmentalist groups. Also, some give charitable contributions, for example, some companies do events, or also it refers to organizations that dedicate a portion of their earnings to reimburse the community and improve the world. Ethical responsibility is typically concerned with ensuring that organizations work fairly and ethically. The core belief in social responsibility is that instead of focusing on the individual self-interests, the interests of the community or the society are held in a higher regard. Committing to the common belief, it will in turn benefit individuals as well. A company that engages in activities to improve or support achieving positive impact in society, like for example, like we said, donating or volunteering, is more likely to gain consumer trust. It also gives a lot of benefit to the companies and also to people. For example, it enhances positive relationships and builds trust among the public. It also builds a sense of community among consumers. Corporate social responsibility helps companies to become more sustainable, which is one of the significant long-term benefits for a business. The chances of becoming socially responsible come in many different ways, and socially responsible companies are also more likely to have an increase in their profits.